Association debate. For those of you who don't know, I'm Sean Vera. I'm the current student body president. Before we get started, I just want to give you a rundown of how the debate is going to go. We're going to have a brief introduction from Dr. Rob Kelly, the Vice President for Student Development. Then we're going to have candidate statements. Each ticket will come up and have 2 minutes to give an opening statement. The order will be Matt Razik and Tori Spears, then Julia Poyer and Sarah McDowell, then Efdiola Trubika and Nick Ramirez, and then finally Matthew Smith and Derek Liebla. After that, we'll do questions from the moderator, and then we'll take questions from you guys. So before I introduce Dr. Kelly, I just wanted to say to everyone that thank you. This is my last month as student body president, and I wanted to thank each and every one of you for the opportunity to serve as your student body president. It's truly been an honor. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Robert Kelly, Vice President for Student Development.
Thank you. And a thank you to Sean for extraordinary leadership over the last year. Being student body president is not easy, and he's done an outstanding job as president, and I think it's set a nice foundation for us to be able to take the program even further with our candidates here tonight. Not so long ago, or depending on who you are, a really long time ago, I was up here, not this stage, but a different stage at another Jesuit university, getting ready for the student government debates. And I remember feeling really nervous because on one hand, you're putting yourself out there because people are going to vote in some way, and in some ways it ends up being, were you talking about issues? Were you talking about popularity? What were you talking about? And I know that for many of you, the issues that you might find really important, or the issues that our candidates might be running on, might be issues that are against the administration or against the man. I never thought I'd be the man, but I think in this situation, that's probably the case right here. But what came about for me when I did that was I realized how much people cared. How much people cared about their community, how much people cared about what was going to happen later. And so when we talk about building community, making commitments, engaging Chicago and engaging the world and creating a future, it's the people who will be up here tonight putting themselves out there, putting themselves on the line, that will really have a lot to say about what the future of Loyola looks like. So I want to thank each of them for their bravery of going into this area, and thank each of you for being here. The way the elections will work on the 27th and 28th of March, you'll get an email. The email will send you to a link. It's specifically for you so that you can vote. So that you can vote and let your voice be heard. It's not a good thing to complain about it after the fact. You want to be involved. You want to vote for somebody. And I think you have 4 really great candidates here to be able to choose from. So, without further ado, I'll turn it back over to Sean to start the debate.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. And just to remind everyone, it's not just the president and vice presidential tickets that are on the ballot. We have a contested election for the chief of student organizations. We also have a referendum about bottled water on the ballot. So please check your email March 27th and 28th and make sure you vote. So we'll get started right now with candidate statements. Each ticket will have 2 minutes to give an opening statement, and we'll start with Matthew Razik and Tori Spears.
Thanks, Sean, and thank you everyone for joining us for this debate. My name is Matt Razik. I'm a junior majoring in psychology. I am the Speaker of the Senate currently for our student government. I'm on the student executive. I'm the executive board for the Student Ambassador Program in undergraduate admissions. A couple of my prior leadership experiences. I was a resident assistant last year in the Department of Residence Life. So that's a little bit about myself, and I'm very interested in running for your next student body president.
Hi everyone, I'm Tori Spears. I'm a junior in the School of Business, studying human resources and entrepreneurship. I was an athlete here for 2 years on the Loyola softball team. I'm currently a brother in Delta Sigma Pi, which is a professional co-ed business fraternity. And I'm on NRHH, National Residence Hall Honorary, and a program coordinator for Northside Area Council. And I'm very excited to be running as your student body vice president.
A couple of the issues that we'd really like to address if we're elected president and vice president is increasing shuttle and 8-ride service. Currently, there's no 8-ride at the Water Tower campus, and in speaking to students at Water Tower, that needs to change. We also want to increase shuttle service and see if there's a possibility. I know everyone always wants shuttles on the weekends, and see if we're able to do that under the current budget. We'd also like to work with the Provost Office and department chairs in order to reduce credit hour requirements for academic majors, because students are spending 5 years here just getting their bachelor's, and then they're losing their financial aid after that 4th year. So we really do want to try and work to get students out of here in 4 years, because Loyola's graduation rate, although it's improving, it still has a ways to go. So we'd really like to work to try and improve that.
Furthermore, we're also looking to really improve the community on Loyola and to increase school spirit from academics to athletics. It's something that Loyola needs to get improved in, and we're really looking forward to it, as well as increasing dining facilities as well, working with Aramark and their partnership, increasing quality, variety, and practicing sustainable, environmentally friendly practices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Julia Poyer and Sarah McDowell.
Hello, my name is Julia Poyer. I am a junior, and I have been in USGA all 3 years. I started USGA my 3rd week here on campus, so I've been really committed. I've been on the Justice Committee, and I've been chair of that for 1.5 years. I've also served on the Community Engagement Committee, which is also the committee that examines our relationship with Rogers Park, and I've served on the Transportation and Facilities Committee.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah McDowell, running for Vice President of USGA. I'm a junior currently, and I am a physics and engineering major. Within USGA, I've been on it for 2 years, both years on the Residence Life and Dining Committee, and I am currently the chair of the committee.
So what I have accomplished, I have a lot of experience on USGA. I've devoted a lot of time to USGA, and I really think I have examined all the issues with USGA internally and externally to make a significant impact on this campus. First of all, I propose community co-chairs within Senate to tackle retention, because that's the biggest issue within USGA. Moving on from that, outside of USGA, we have worked on water bottle, ending the sale on campus, as well as increasing the water bottle refill stations. And Sarah's going to talk a little bit more about what we've done in dining.
So my experience on the within my experience on Res Life and Dining Committee, we have worked to create the cuisine team, which has a lot of students working with the administrators in dining. So we have implemented small changes within dining halls, as well as talked about chicken fingers and things like that that need to be back in dining.
Hello, I'm going to quickly explain my platform. So I am running on 3 main things, which is increasing diversity at Loyola, looking at that from all forms of diversity, increasing it at an administrative level, looking at tuition, getting a grandfathered in tuition or a line-by-line statement where your tuition is going. Lastly is increasing the dining halls significantly. Thank you.
Next up, we have Eftiola Trebika and Nicholas Ramirez.
Good evening. My name is Eftiola Trebika, and I'm running to be your student body president, and I believe in LUC.
Good evening, I'm Nick Ramirez, and I'm your LUC Vice President nominee, and
Currently, I serve as the chair of the Academic Affairs Committee. What I've done on the Academic Affairs Committee is work to improve the 4-year graduation rate, and how I've done that is by working with the Board of Trustees and the Academic Affairs Council to lower the credit hour requirements from 128 to 120 credit hours, which it currently sits. I also played a key part within the core curriculum reform, and currently serve on the Council for Student Success, Academic Affairs, University Policy Council, and the core curriculum committee.
our platform is based on 5 main goals. It's a holistic approach. We know that being here is more than just like academics or our campus culture. We want to identify all of them at one time. So.
We believe in the power of the student voice. We believe in advocating for social justice. We believe in the value of the Loyola degree. We believe in the value of community, and we believe in the student voice.
Currently, I'm on the Facilities and Transportation Committee. I'm a sophomore. So what I lack in experience, I have in driving education. And as a student of color, I know that their diversity is more than just an admission process. So I want to go deeper into that with campus culture, making it known administration throughout the whole campus.
Thank you, and we hope you also believe in what you see.
And the last ticket for tonight is Matthew Smith and Derek Loyola.
Smitty's running a little late. He's got a test right now, but I'll speak on his behalf. Smitty is a freshman companion, and he is also a student ambassador. Smitty has a passion for all of the students at Loyola, as well as the university itself. And his main goal is to give the students what you guys need. So he wants to take all of your opinions in and weigh them heavily and see what the majority of the students need. So whether it comes to tuition, whether it comes to diversity, the water bottle campaign, the dining, Smitty wants to take your opinions and he wants to bring them to the USGA. The other goal that Smitty has is he really wants to bring a connection between USGA and students. He thinks that it's really important for the USGA to have a face that everyone knows and recognizes. And Smitty has charisma. He believes that he can take his leadership skills and he can bring them to the student body. He thinks that it's really important for the student to identify with its leader, and he thinks he can bring that to the table. As for myself, I'm a sophomore. I'm a math and computer science major, and I think that I can really help focus Smitty's passion and really help supplement what he's bringing to the table, as well as facilitate his ideas in a way that will really bring the students what you guys need. So we really want to connect with you guys throughout the course of our term if we were to be elected. And we really think that we can really bring change and represent the student body the way that you guys deserve to be represented. So thank you, and you'll be hearing from Smitty soon.
All right, so I'm going to take a seat and we're going to get started. I just ask that you keep side conversation and noise to a minimum because we're trying to record this and get decent sound. So if we can do that while candidates are speaking, I'd appreciate it. So we'll start with questions. I'd imagine, but let's begin. So the way we'll do this is candidates will have 1 minute to answer questions, and we'll go in the, for now, we'll go in the same order that they spoke originally. So the first question is, what motivates you to run for student body president? You can do whatever you'd like.
So I'd like to run for student body president because of my experience on USGA. I see that there is a ton of initiatives and a ton of things that students want to see on our campus, and students have not gotten their voice heard most of the time on those issues. So we really do want to lead for you, lead with you, and lead because of you. And as student body president, I feel that I could be your student voice to the administration. We wouldn't need to have to go through any of the introductory phases. We're also we're advocates for student change. We really do want to go out there, get to meet the students. We want to talk to the student organizations. We want to make sure that students are getting their money's worth at Loyola. So like I mentioned before, the 8-ride and shuttle services aren't offered at both campuses, and students are paying for that. So ultimately what we would do as USGA president and vice president is take your voices and make those changes possible on our campus. We're both very dedicated. We are very organized. We are able to, if we put our minds to something, we're able to do it. So,
I want to run for Loyola Student Body President because I believe that I have a clear vision of where I can take this school and how the students can really be incorporated more with that. So really looking at streamlining the conversation. A lot of students complain about Loyola on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, and I see it every day, and there are a lot of problems, but they're not getting to the right people. So utilizing that more and really advocating for the students, really listening to your issues, and really fighting for it. I really think that me and my vice president have the passion to do this. We've already accomplished so much, and we would love to serve you guys and really be there to listen to you guys and fight fight for you guys. Thank you.
My motivation to run really surrounds around the fact that I am a first-generation college student. I see that so many students here are, and understanding that is a big part and a big motivation about why I run. But on top of that, my experience within USGA has been within the academic affairs level. So I worked a lot on the policy level and seeing what happens in the room with administrators face-to-face. And on top of that, I serve as a first-year companion. So I have that one-on-one interaction with students. So having something at that macro level as well as on that micro level and combine that kind of experience to know what students want and to know how to get there and to always advocate for what it is that students always want, regardless if it's water bottles or if it's what classes you want to take. It is something that as key stakeholders in this university, students deserve to have. And I think as based on my experience and the work that I do, that I would be a great advocate for that.
We wanted to run together because we felt that we could bring something new to USGA. We felt that we could bring a fresh voice to USGA. It's something that we haven't been a part of in the past, but it's something that we want to become a part of. And we want to bring a normal student's perspective to the USGA level. And we think that in doing so, we can really bridge the gap between USGA and the student body, which we think that is really important to build community and to help the USGA and the student body understand what each other needs and what the USGA is able to handle for the students. We think that it's important that the students know what the USGA is actually doing for them, and we feel like we can really help remove that disconnect.
Great. Next question. What unique things, so skills, experiences, etc., would you bring to the table as student body president?
So in my current role as Speaker of the Senate, I'm privy to information that's only available to executive board members on USGA. So in that role, I'm able to advocate for the students while working with the Senate. So I'm already working on behalf of the students in that position. I'm also a former RA, so a lot of my friends will see me getting into my RA role. Every time that something comes up, I immediately will drop things and I'll really go to the students and dig down to the deeper issues to really help them. So I feel that with those two experiences in particular, I'm really able to advocate for the students. I'm also very organized and I like to set goals for myself, and I think that that will allow me to be able to lead for you. It's important to have a platform, it's important to have your list that you need to accomplish, because if you don't have something that you really want to accomplish, you may not accomplish it. So when you get to see it written down, that's what makes me able to lead for you.
I think I bring creativity to the USGA. I think a lot of issues that we see on this campus could be solved if we just think outside of the box, have a unique perspective, and really examine, like, okay, here's an obstacle, let's overcome it, but let's not think like we have been before, and really come together and think about it. So an example of this would be extending shuttle services. So looking at, and 8-Ride, so looking at where we can cut down and where we can add, just like the IC. The IC was open 24 hours this semester, and that was basically created because people had creative ideas like, hey, let's take out a few workers at this time and put them later. So now so many students are able to access the IC and get away from their dorms, their roommates, to study and really focus on their academics. So it's that kind of creativity I think I really want to bring to this table, and also passion and drive and motivation. Me and my vice president work very hard on USGA. We come home, we're roommates.
All right, so it's time.
Really what makes me unique is also what motivates me. Like I said, and I don't want to really repeat, first generation, working both at the macro level and the micro level. Really what makes Nick and I unique is that we have a variety of experience. Nick has worked on facilities and I worked on academic affairs. So Nick does see the everyday kind of thing, whereas I see things at the different level on the administrative level. I've sat in a room with administrators. I know how they think, I know how they want to get things done, but I also know what students want, and that's what's important. At the end of the day, it's what students want that really is the direction that this USGA needs to take.
What we bring to the table is just passion for the students. We've been involved in a variety of clubs, activities. Smitty's just a great guy who really loves everything that you guys do. And we really think that we can really take your energy and bring it to USGA. And that's like our main goal, is to really just keep connecting you guys. Smitty's actually here right now. We really just think that our passion and maybe our fresh ideas that we're bringing to USGA can really just help breathe life into USGA and the student body. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, next question. And we'll switch up the order this time. The question is, why did you choose your running mate? So Julia, let's start with you.
Perfect, that's where I left off. So, I chose Sarah McDowell because she is the most qualified student, I thought, to choose as a running mate. She's been on USGA for the past 2 years, and our committees, Res Life and Justice Committee, has really partnered and made an excellent partnership this past year. Also, it's not like we put in USGA hours and then quit. We're up till 2 a.m. sometimes discussing student issues and student problems, how we can creatively address them. We have a blackboard wall in our kitchen and we write them down. And if you guys ever come over, we're constantly thinking about the student voice. USGA is constantly at the forefront of our mind, and we're student council nerds. But we're also connected with all of you guys as well. But she is just so positive, and she is really hardworking. She knows how to get stuff done. She doesn't lose enthusiasm. She just keeps powering through, and I couldn't think of anyone better to run with. Woo! Woo!
Effie, you're next.
Why I picked Nick. I think Nick and I complement each other really well. He's very chill, whereas I am more of a blast personality, as I like to call it. I'm very out there. I like to be outgoing. I love to talk to people, whereas Nick's more of, he's quiet, but he's passionate. You can see the passion in him and the things he does. He is a student of color who embraces the fact that he's a leader, which I totally admire in him. And just because his experience this past year has really impressed me. The motivation and inspiration that he takes to his USGA work, I think, is inspiring to me. He has worked to increase school spirit within his committee. He's always shooting out ideas, always talking about things that he wants to do. He was just recently appointed to work by Father Daphne, who was appointed to deal with the issue of tuition.
And that's time.
How's it going, guys? Nice to see you. Sorry I'm a little late, just got from class. Can you guys hear me? We good? Perfect. Why choose Derek? Well, why not choose Derek? All around, he's a great guy. I think we really complement each other very well, and he's just a very good people person. He has a great personality and a great heart. And he's so hardworking as well. Along with that, he's an extremely intelligent person, and I know he's going to do an amazing job. So if you haven't met Derek, I recommend that you get to meet him. He's a better person than I am, and I'm just really glad to be his running mate. So, thank you.
So I chose Tori because it's her first year on USGA as a junior, and she is one of the most vocal individuals during our Senate meetings. Tori's worked on the Residence Life and Dining Committee to assist them with their bringing water bottle refill stations to campus, or whether it was the alcohol forum at the beginning of the year. Tori was right up front working with the Residence Life and Dining Committee and Sarah to try and make that forum possible. Tori also brings a perspective to USGA that we've never had before, and Tori is a former varsity athlete. And we've never had a varsity athlete on USGA to give the perspective of the athletic students at Loyola. You would think that just because you're an athlete, things are all fine and dandy, but in reality, athletes do have their thoughts, they do have their qualms with Loyola, and by bringing that perspective to USGA, Tori's been a really strong leader. She's also very dedicated, and she's passionate about the organization that she just got involved in. Even though Tori just got involved with USGA this year, she's also on RHA. She's on NRHH, which is the National Residence Hall Honorary, which is termed as the top 1% of leaders that are living in our residence halls on
campus. And that's time. Next question. Diversity is a hot topic at Loyola. What is diversity to you? FD, why don't you start?
What diversity really means to me is to have a variety of room, whether that be socioeconomic status, whether that be race, ethnicity, sexuality. And really what diversity as an issue here at Loyola, it stems around this idea of campus culture for us. Regardless of the number of diverse students that we have, it's important to make sure that those students are always supported no matter what, to make sure that regardless of the circumstances that these students are taken care of and that programs are offering them programs such as ACE, programs within the Division of Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs, and to really hear out the voice of the students, whether it's through the Multicultural Greek Council, or through LASSO, or through the BCC, to work with those student organizations that hone in on diversity, to work with Advocate, to work with all these organizations that really can make a difference for these diverse students, regardless of what diversity is.
Okay, Matt, Isaac.
So diversity is anyone or anything that is not like you are. So in essence, everyone in this room is diverse. Even though someone may have the same color skin as you, someone may have the same sexual orientation as you, but in reality, everyone is different. And one of the things that I'd like to work on, if elected USGA, is really making sure that USGA is working with the Department of Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs to really own that diversity that we have at Loyola's campus. This past semester, I joined the Men's Project, which is just a bunch of guys getting together through the Department of Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs and talking about diverse issues, whether they're about sexual orientation or gender or socioeconomic status. It's all about talking about masculinity and what that means at a campus such as Loyola's. So by being involved with that, I've really learned to define my definition of diversity. And that's why I think that I'm glad that I'm able to use that experience to really open up my personal thoughts and to really get out of my comfort zone so that I'm able to.
Smitty?
It's kind of hard going third. Everyone said all the good stuff. But I'd say diversity, as they brought up, is the fact that a lot of times it's just the fact that everyone has their own story. Mac brought up a good point that it doesn't have to really deal with the color of your skin or your religion or sexuality. It's really about just who you are, where you came from, what your background is. I came from an all-guys Jesuit high school. It was mostly Caucasian, Catholic, and I love the diversity here at Loyola. In Rogers Park here, you see like the symbols, all the different colored hands. It's been really cool getting to know other people and their cultures. I just really like it on campus. And I also like the fact all the different clubs, how they all have their own significance and how they all represent themselves very well. And like as Matt brought up, including that in student government, as Derek and I always bring up, being the voice of the people, we want to represent all people, including all cultures and all different diverse backgrounds. Thank you.
And finally, Julia.
Hello. Hello. Okay, so diversity is actually one of our main pushes in our campaign, and we believe that diversity is examining, like they said, socioeconomic background, gender, race, sexuality, and ability. And it's really about making the conversation, adding something to the conversation, and focus on different perspectives, and being thoughtful and expansive instead of exclusive. And so we really want to see a strong push. We don't want this to just be an issue that goes away. I've been working on this issue all year. I've been working with SDMA, Diversity Council. I've also been working with the Gannon Center. I've been working with Kathleen Moss-Weingart Center and talking to admissions. I've also, so I'd like to see concrete goals like increasing representation for disadvantaged groups at Loyola, making it a safer campus, so having the USGA do social justice training. It's also encouraging people in normally disadvantaged groups to run for USGA. Enrollment and...
That's time. All right,
Next up, there's a referendum on the ballot concerning bottled water on campus. What are your thoughts on the bottled water and the uncapped LUC referendum? Matt, why don't we start with you? Yeah.
Well, my running mate Tori was actually one of the co-sponsors for the uncapped LUC resolution. Our stance on the issue is that both Tori and I have made conscious efforts not to utilize bottled water on Loyola's campus. As the addition of the water bottle refill stations are being added to Loyola's campus, students are starting to purchase their own water bottles and instead of buying the plastic bottles from the dining facilities. So Tori and I really do want to lead forward with and because of the students. So although we've educated ourselves and we are for a ban on bottled water, if the students come back after the referendum and say that they do not want a ban on bottled water, then we're not going to ban bottled water on our campus. It's really what the students want. One of the things I would definitely recommend students go to is there's a TAP screening tomorrow evening in the IC, and really educate yourself on the issue of bottled water at Loyola's campus. By being educated, I think that's where Tori and I were really able to come to the consensus that, sure, we do agree that there should be a ban on bottled water, but we're not going to pursue that if our constituents do not want us to pursue that.
Smitty? Sorry, Julian.
I'm a big fan of the bottled water movement, or the lack of. First off, we're always given free DOP bottles, and now actually you can use them. I used one right before I got here. But also I want to bring up the fact that although we have made this huge push, I want to bring up, I was talking to a friend last night, and we were discussing the fact that they still offer smart water as well as Fiji water. So I just want to, if we're going to make the push towards a total movement where there's no plastic bottles on campus to recycle in that sense, that we would remove all bottles of water of all brands. But really, like I said, I think it's a really good movement. In addition, I'd like to bring up the fact that the idea of maybe more of the air hand dryers in the bathrooms is another way to recycle and just to conserve the environment in that sense as well, along with the water bottle referendum. So thank you.
Julia?
Hi guys, most of you know here my stance on bottled water. Me and my vice president have been working very hard to see water bottle refill stations, and we really feel like bottled water is an issue of social justice and the privatization of water. So we really feel that that's incorporated with this university ideals. So what we've done is we want to make sure that you guys are compensated for that. So my committee has been working on designs to give bottled waters to canteens to students, as well as increasing the water bottle refill stations, and as well as thinking of creative ideas if students forget about their canteen of pick up and go cup station. So we've talked to students on CAN. We've brought this issue to CAN. We've brought it to multiple students. We go out, we table about it, we keep the conversation going, and we love talking about this issue. It's really an educational issue, we believe. We really think it's something that Loyola students can do to really promote their ideals, really promote their commitment to social justice, and really show their commitment to sustainability on this campus. And I think it's a great way.
And FD?
Really, our view on the bottled water situation on campus is really to focus on the referendum. The referendum in and of itself is the voice of the students. Students vote on that issue. And based on that vote is how we will move our administration forward. If students decide that they choose to have bottled water on their campus, they're entitled to that right to have bottled water on campus. That being said, personally, Nick and I do future our own education on the issue. We both use the refillable stations as well as use our own water bottles. But that being said, it's an issue of the students. If students choose that they want that, then they want that. We can't, in good conscience, decide to ban something that students don't want on campus. What we can do is further educate if that is the case.
All right, next question. What do you think the current issues in shared governance are, and how do you plan on addressing those next year? Why don't we start with FD?
The issues within shared governance really revolve around the fact that some administrators don't believe that students care. And that in and of itself is flawed thinking. We are key stakeholders in this university, and we do believe that we need to have a place in our university and in our shared governance system. Students deserve to sit at the table with faculty, with staff. A model like that is necessary to really implement to make sure that those key stakeholders are in the same room at the same table, deciding on the same things. If they're not doing that, then they're doing a disservice to their students. Really, what shared governance is aimed to do is to do that, is to share. Having just a faculty or just a staff. The current model is flawed. The current model I'm currently on a university policy committee, which falls under the shared governance model. And for the past 2 months, that policy committee has not been. And really to improve that kind of thinking, to make sure that those things happen more often. But to also reform it so that we all have a voice, that we all have a place at the table.
Matt? Yep.
So I don't know if you all know that USGA currently has a shared governance task force, which is chaired by the current vice president of USGA to look into issues such as this. They've met with their respective individuals and administrators to really try and figure out where students need to come together, whether it's in the academic realm, the student development realm, whether it's graduate and undergraduate students. Students really do need to be at the table to have a voice. In my experiences on USGA, I've been the student representative on 2 different Board of Trustees committees. And for those of you who don't know, the Board of Trustees is the governing board of Loyola School. So I currently am sitting on the Advancement Committee of the Board of Trustees, and I previously sat on the Jesuit and Catholic Identity Committee. And being at the table with the highest individuals, those who are even higher than our president, it's really a great experience to be able to give them the student feedback and make sure that the student voice is being heard. It's definitely important to make sure that students have representation on search committees or on task forces that are formed within the university. So I do think the general structure of Loyola's shared governance as a whole needs to change.
Smitty.
As was brought up before, I really believe that the university as a whole is not just the teachers, it's not just the faculty or the administration, it's not just Father D or Z, it's the students as well. As was said, the connection needs to be strengthened. I really feel like the say that we have is very important. We pay the money, we pay the tuition, we pay to come here, to enjoy our 4 years at Loyola. We could have gone somewhere else, but we chose to come here. And for that reason, I feel like, as has been said, is we should have a say in what occurs. A lot of times, I feel like the administration overlooks what the students have to say, or a lot of times they just wait till the last second to give them their opinion or their chance to vote. Derek and I really want to make student government more transparent in the sense we want to allow the students to see what's going on step by step, especially the major pivotal points in the decision processes. We really believe that you as the students should know what's going on. For example, as we brought up with the water bottle referendum, a lot of times people didn't even know what was going on until the decision was already made. And I feel like that's a major issue. I feel like as the students, we should be on each step of the way.
That's time. And Julia.
Hello, I think the key to open and fair and shared governance is really looking at our student representation on the Board of Trustees. Right now, the Board of Trustees, like Matt said, is even higher than Father Garanzini, but there are students on those positions, and I don't think that they're being fully utilized. I've had students say that they're not being fully utilized, and they're just there like as a figurehead piece, and they're not really having the opportunity to advocate for student issues. So when you're not having a real space to talk about all the student issues, and when there's one person to cover all of academics at Loyola, to talk to the highest people, that does not represent the student body. So really using that to bring more voices to the table, to take that more seriously, and to not just use it as a figurehead position to say they have student voice. We need student voice on those positions. They are the ones that make the decision. Thank you.
All right. Next question. What is one thing about you that people would be surprised if they knew? Let's keep it G. So Smitty, let's start with you.
One thing about me that I don't know if a lot of people know, Steve's going first. My favorite sport is sailing. I've been sailing since I was 9 years old, and it's not like really preppy like sailing. Like I actually love to sail. It's my favorite sport. All summer long I teach little kids how to sail. I'm the assistant director at a sailing center up in Wisconsin. And I recently sailed at Nationals a few years ago. So, yeah, now people know that about me. And, yeah, I'm a sailor. Thanks.
Julia.
Alright, I don't know if I'm going to regret saying this, but one thing about me, I almost was an MTV star. I don't know if you guys have seen the show The Paper, but I was selected, my school was selected because of our really funny video, and they thought that I and 3 other students were the most charismatic and
most engaged students at the school and most serious about this paper that we were selected to be the stars. And they filmed a pilot episode. Good thing it didn't air because I was a senior in high school and I probably would look at myself and be like, what was I doing? But that's just a little bit about me that you didn't know walking in here.
Matt.
One thing that not many people know about me is I went to St. Ignatius High School in Cleveland. No, actually, I'm kidding. I always talk about it, so in case you don't know that, now you do know it. I actually, starting from the time I was in 8th grade up until the time I graduated high school, I actually ran my 8th grade concession stand that was actually named after me. My nickname's Cat, and they named it Cat's Place. And there's actually still a sign that says Cat's Place there. So every time I go back, like all the little kids I've never seen, like just run up and like want to meet who Cat is. So it's kind of pretty cool, but not many people knew that I still kind of, in 8th grade, had the keys to the concession stand and kind of run all the basketball events. So it was kind of, it was fun and it was different, but that's my past.
And FG.
Fun fact that people know about me. I was featured on the news when I was in 2nd grade. My church for Easter does the priest takes everyone up, and the priest didn't call on me, so when he dismissed all the kids there, I decided to storm up and demanded that I speak. So, fun fact about me.
What do you want to improve at Loyola? Let's start with Julia.
Hey guys, I think this whole debate is all about our ideas of what we want to improve at Loyola. So I'm just going to say I really want us to push for more diversity of all groups. I really want to see Loyola, other than my platforms, really see Loyola engage with the community of Rogers Park more, especially in our sustainability initiatives. I think we have, Rogers Park have some of the best environmentalists in Chicago, and I don't think we're fully utilizing them or getting their ideas on any of Loyola's development. So really we say that we want to build community, but we have to look at the larger community as well, so we can go out and lead our lives and be extraordinary leaders. I'd also like to change just the way USGA runs. I'd really like to see students really engaged with USGA, really passionate about the work they're doing, and wanting to stay every semester, everything, and really feel like their work they're doing is advocating for the students, really fulfilling, and really feeling like they are making a change on this campus. So there are so many more ideas that I have, and I'd love to talk to you guys
But that's not there.
One thing I'd really like to change if I'm elected president is the graduation rate at Loyola. Loyola's graduation, 4-year graduation rate is hovering right around 50%, which is not good. If you think of all those students that attend Loyola, which is about 10,000 undergraduates. So I really do want to improve the 4-year graduation rate. I also really want to improve school spirit. As a former athlete, Tori has really voiced her concerns of how students interact with fellow students at basketball games, or whether it's school spirit at an event that happens in CFSU, whether it's St. Patrick's Day by SAE, or whether it's Christmas on campus, which happened in December. You really do want to enhance school spirit because you want students to be proud to be a Rambler. You don't want students just coming to Loyola and being miserable here. We really do want them to get engaged. Part of that engagement is due to some student government changes that need to be made. We really want to have signage all around campus so that you know what your student representation is doing. Because USGA has done great work this year, but we're not doing our jobs to tell you all what we're doing. So we really do need to enhance that communication so that you all know that we're here for you.
FD.
What Nick and I really feel needs to be improved here at Loyola is to really look at the transparency of USGA, to know what USGA really wants to do and what their goal is eventually. But on top of that, really get students involved, get them tweeting at us, get them to talk to us, and have more table events that are more public. Go to events, go to table at events like St. Patrick's Day, which is tomorrow. Get students involved with big organizations like Greek Life, like service organizations, like the cultural orgs, and really focus on helping those organizations out. Student organizations are a key asset in the functioning of our student body. They are what students go to become their little niches. On top of that, strengthen our academic system. Make sure that students are out of here in 4 years. The 4-year graduation rate is really what brings us down in national rankings. But on top of that, really take care of students holistically. Make sure that they're taken care of, their health is taken care of, both at the physical and mental level. And also to make sure students are safe, whether it be...
That's not. Smitty?
I think a main goal for Derek and I is really to increase the community and solidarity among Loyola. I heard a kind of a very scary statistic yesterday involved in voting, just for USGA president and vice president. I heard that 20% of only 20% of the whole student body votes for USGA president and vice president. That's 80% missing. That's extremely scary. The fact that our governing body is decided by only 20% of the campus. I really feel like an increase in the openness of USGA is very needed. The fact that I feel like we can't just, it's not just on the students to become more involved with USGA, it's more on USGA to open the doors and show that they're here to listen. I can't make any huge promises that like I'm gonna build brand new buildings and put Chipotle restaurants all over the campus, but what I can promise is to listen. The campus right now is going through some major changes, a lot of flux. With all the buildings going up and the new reforms, the new policies, we just got a new statue right near Dunlop. But really what I can promise is the fact that during this change that Derek and I will listen and will help you cause change on campus for yourselves, for your organizations, what you want as the students at this time.
Okay, now that our prepared questions are done, we're going to take questions from you guys. So Mikey over there has the mic, so we're going to leave that there. So if you want to ask a question, step on up over there. Don't be shy. Come on, someone. Go for it. And the only thing we ask is that questions be directed to all 4 candidates.
Okay, so to all 4 candidates. We've heard a lot of good ideas, broad ideas about changes, but I would like to hear a little bit more specifically how you would go about the change. So I'll ask, in what ways will each of you try to increase the graduation rate within 4 years?
Which one of you would like to answer first? Okay, go ahead.
For 4-year graduation rate, it takes place on multiple levels. It takes place on the administrative level to understand policy, to work with core curriculum, to hope that students are planning for 4-year graduation. But on top of that, to make sure that policies are in place to make sure that they happen. The core curriculum just recently changed, make sure that students are aware of that. On top of that, work with departments. For example, the bio department, they have a huge major. To kind of help those huge majors break down so that they work with students directly. And on top of that, really just work on advising programs. Our students need to be told, like not be told, that sounds bad, really need to learn and to plan and to do these things which will help them to get out of here in 4 years. And really to eventually help them plan for the future. Fun things like the Career Center more so than it is. Get something like the Career Center out there more, which it currently isn't. Kind of help with those aspects, so both on a big level as well as a small level.
Julia?
Hi, okay, I think the issue of our 50% graduation rate of 4 years at Loyola is really unacceptable, and I really think that it's on the student body, especially their governing system, to really examine it. And we know that it's not in our core because that was recently cut, but we know that we're still struggling to graduate on time. So you really have to talk to each individual dean, each individual school, and go through which classes they can cut, because students need to get out of here. This is an expensive school, it's a private school, and we need to foster environment that students can be successful and they can really feel like they can plan for Loyola. And also, student debt is a huge issue. So really taking any steps Loyola can to be proactive to cut down that student debt is one step for all of graduating college students. So it's a really important issue that definitely needs to be looked in and have individual conversations with those administrators.
So I recently set up a meeting with Father Garantini to talk about this exact issue because it's something that I've been passionate about it. And I know that he's very passionate about it as well. And he says if you get the students behind this issue, then it's likely going to happen. He said that he's been telling the deans and the deans of each of the colleges and the provosts that something needs to change in order to improve our graduation rate. And one of those things is the number of academic majors, the required credit hours that students need in order to graduate with that major. So I definitely think that it's something that the administration knows. I think that the provost has already told department chairs to reevaluate their academic majors and see where they may be able to make different cuts with some of their different courses that they're offering in those majors. So I think that USGA needs to get close and personal with those individuals and work with them to see is there a maximum number of credit hours that each major should be, because with that then students are going to be able to get out of here on time. With the recent change from 128 to 120 credit hours, our graduation rate did go up a little bit. It didn't skyrocket, but it did go up. Now students need to make sure that they're finishing their major on time, because that's the second, other than not graduating with enough credit hours, not having a major at the end of 4 years is what's keeping students at Loyola. So definitely making sure that those credit hours are the right length and working with students with those majors.
Personally, Derek and I believe the issue lies within the core itself. Compared to a lot of other universities, the core here is very expansive. I do enjoy it in the sense that it takes on the Jesuit idea of cura personalis, which is about educating the whole person. That's why you're required to take 2 art classes, as well as 2 theology classes, as well as 2 science classes. I really think it's necessary to develop you as an entire person. However, I do feel like some of the classes, or the amount of classes, could be lowered a little bit. I feel like that would increase graduation rate. As well as, I think another aspect of Loyola that we can improve to increase graduation rate is the idea of, like I brought up before, is the solidarity, the connection to Loyola, the increase of school spirit. I really feel like a lot of times people don't love being a rambler, and that needs to change. I feel like you'll see people walking around saying like "Boiler up" from Purdue or something like that, but no one says "Go Ramblers." I feel like that needs to change. The idea of walking around campus and loving that you're at this school.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Anthony. I'm a junior, and my question is about sustainability. We've heard a lot about water, but I think that the issue is obviously much larger and much more systemic than that. Loyola presents an opportunity, being a lived-in community with thousands and thousands of members, to really enact a large amount of social change in this issue. What would you do specifically? I'm looking for actual plans to increase awareness and decrease Loyola's environmental impact on our community.
Matt?
So if you were to look at a map of Loyola's campus 10 years ago, you would see a bunch of red when it comes down to how green some of our buildings are. Currently, the only red buildings are the steam plant, which is kind of like the control center, and the life sciences building because of the fact that it has all the high-tech equipment in that building. So Loyola is making efforts to, it was a question that was asked during our Senate meeting yesterday, that how is Loyola making buildings greener as they're reconstructing those buildings. So I think that Loyola is making each building greener, so I think that as each building is reconstructed or renovated, there needs to be a sign outside that building that explains exactly what's going on with that building. Buildings like the IC and the New Cuneo Hall are LEED certified buildings, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. I'm a student ambassador and I always say LEED on tours, but I never know what it means. I had to look that up. And it means that buildings of that size, like the information commons, are greener than other buildings. So in the IC, I bet not many of you know that there are vents in the floor so that the air stays low and the heat rises. Or that the blinds come down automatically, you probably know that. But how do they come down automatically? Because there are solar panels on the roof that make the blinds come down in relation to where the sun is. So Loyola is doing what it needs to be sustainable and to be green, but students don't know that.
Sustainability is an issue that me and my vice president take very seriously. When we meet with administrations at Senate, we always bring it up. Sarah was actually the one to bring up what are we doing to keep the buildings green, the infrastructure green, and I think Loyola is doing great efforts. And I think that if we really push for it, Loyola can be one of the most sustainable schools in this country. Also, just for exact goals we'd like to see is dining halls, seeing composting in there. We've already both had conversations with administration about composting, keeping more food local so it doesn't travel as far, so you don't waste the C2O. A campus-wide effort to divert waste from landfills, making realistic goals and also goals with numbers so we can hold this school accountable to be sustainable. Also making this campus more bike-friendly. I emailed the head of facilities at the beginning of the year how to make this campus more bike-friendly so you don't run into people. It's a safety issue, it's also a green issue. And also, lastly, is a forum to bring all the students' ideas about this because students are creative, students have ideas, we're studying these classes, they have ideas to make this campus more sustainable. So having that voice, working with the new director of sustainability.
Woo! The biggest thing to the issue of sustainability is that of education. Making sure that students know what sustainability is. Make sustainability part of the campus culture. What does that involve exactly is really up to us. It's up to us to decide what do we want. But on top of that, really continuing the work that Loyola is, continuing the conversations with administrators, continuing to find out what's going on here, what's going on at Blue Rec, what's going on at Maywood, finding out what's going on at those places, and figuring out how to make these facilities more green. We will continue our efforts, have more recycling on campus, have composting on campus, but really it is the key component of it is education, and it is campus climate, and it's speaking about the issue as just something that's concrete, not just this philosophical sustainability. It's a big word, it's a heavy word. Make it more everyday thing. Make it, you reuse your water bottle, use the hand dryer instead of using a paper towel. It's doing something like that. Throwing it into our core curriculum. The lower level of the science education will be on sustainability. So taking it from the classroom into the real world and continuing that kind of conversation.
I mean, as was brought up by all three other candidates, is the idea of advertisement. Right now, a lot of processes are occurring to increase sustainability. The fact that we're renovating all the buildings, the fact that we just built Cuneo Hall because Damon Hall was very environmentally unfriendly. I feel like a focal point that we don't show off enough is the Blue Rec Center, the Loyola University Retreat Ecology Center. I feel like a lot of what we do here should be based off what we do out there. Use that as something to go to, as something to demonstrate what Loyola is doing for sustainability. As I brought up earlier, I really like the idea of how all of the water bottle refill stations that we're doing right now. I feel like we should also increase the fact of the air hand drying machines in all bathrooms around. That's just one little thing that we could do. Currently on campus, the event of Recyclemania is going on. I keep an eye on the events that are going all around campus. Right now, though, none events have really occurred, and I feel like that's just an example of the fact that not enough advertisement is occurring, in the sense that we have Recyclemania going on, but no one realizes it. It's like locked away in the calendar on inside Loyola. I really feel like we should be having demonstrations all the time.
Well, that's time. Good timing, I guess. Next question.
Hi, I'm Andy, I'm a junior, and my question is related to the untapped bottled water thingy-majig. I just wanted to say that I like the idea of having the bottled water refill stations. I think they're really cool. It's a nice way of encouraging people to move away from plastic without necessarily forcing them to make a decision. And it also provides a nice place to bathe when my shower breaks. But anyways, I noticed that walking through maybe whatever that little store is, looking at that machine back there, that water's not the only thing that comes in bottles. Can we hack that problem too by offering fountains that serve soda or Gatorade, or beer comes in bottles too, can we get a beer fountain?
Oh, Julia.
Hey guys, so the referendum for the student voice, looking for the student voice around this bottled water issue was written by me. So this legislation, we said the USGA supported it, but we also wanted to hear the student voice. So that's a great way to hear what you guys are saying about the bottled water. Also, to address the concern about other plastic containers in the dining halls. Water comes from tap. We have fountains that have water everywhere. And water is a basic human right that people should have access to. It shouldn't be privatized. They're going into communities, like in my home state of Michigan, taking water from those communities and then selling it at 2,000% more. So it's really looking at that is something we can easily change. because it comes out of all of our taps. We can support and advocate for healthier water, for cleaner water, for all drinking that water, and it can be a public good instead of something that's privatized and a commodity that's bought and sold. So we really want to promote your student voice in the referendum. We wrote that to hear from you guys. I think there's a lot of misconception around this campaign, and I think we've had conversations with students that are completely on the opposite view of us, and then we have a conversation and they completely agree with us by the end, because it's a whole way of looking at it as a social justice issue, as an issue of privatization of water, and we'd really like to further that. Woo!
I think Julia really, she put it exactly how I would have put it. I do think that students need to educate themselves. I think that although we do have the water bottle refill stations, we do have other plastic bottles in some of our machines around campus. Water is going to be easier for us to get machines for. To answer your question, I think that it's harder to get machines for something like soda or pop, whatever you want to call it. But I do think that students really do need to educate themselves so that then they're going to be able to make the decision on their own on what they want to do. So again, really do vote on that referendum. We want students to vote for it, we want students to vote against it. We really do want students to know that it's going on, and I don't think many of you know that there's going to be a referendum on the ballot, for instance, this week. So I definitely think that you should spread the word to your peers and let them know to educate themselves before next Tuesday and Wednesday.
The issue of the referendum and UNCAP LUC is the first step to our sustainable campus that we want. It is possible, I think, to have those fountains. We have them at Terry. I think if we have that conversation with Airmark and open up that dialogue and say, hey, whatever the future Rambler Room is going to be called in the Alumni Student Center, what can we put there? Can we have one of those fountains? How can we do that? This is the first step. And it's to educate and to end the sale of bottled water if that's what students so choose. But it's to also further that, to look at other ways we can be sustainable, and this is one way. Airmark has been very open with us, and they have been very workable. So kind of work with them to continue that conversation, to have them possibly have soda fountains, and I don't know about beer fountains, but I mean, we can look at that, I guess. But just look at them and discuss with them. And really open up that dialogue to open up and expand our community within sustainability.
I think as Andy brought up, the fact that already we're making great strides in the idea of reducing the amount of waste we have from water bottles. However, with the idea of like a beer fountain or a Powerade fountain, I really feel like the best way to attack that idea would be just increasing, educating the fact that we need to show people the need for recycling. For example, maybe here's an idea. Maybe have a competition amongst the different student organizations of the student body, whoever recycles the most bottles or something of that sort. Because really it's just about educating. I can see right now, I only see one container for recycling bottles in this room from my viewpoint, and I think that's a problem. You look around, there's like 8 trash cans, 10. I feel like there should be a better ratio. The fact that we need to, I feel like the best way to deal with that issue is, I mean, we're not going to get rid of Powerade, people enjoy that, but it would be really just to increase the awareness and the necessity for recycling. So, thank you.
My name is Anthony, and I'm in the business school. I think it's great for you guys to do what you do. On a more simpler note, I would like to know where you guys see yourself a few years after you graduate. So you can take that away.
Ben?
So I see myself pretty much nothing different. I see myself right here. With involvement in school, with involvement in college, I want to pursue a career in higher education administration. So I may be working in a dean of students office. I may be working in student activities and Greek affairs. I may be working in residence life. But what I do know is that I'd like to stay on a college campus because I really do enjoy advocating for the students. I see the passion that the administrators show at Loyola. They really want to get students in the same room with them. They really do want to work with those students. They really do want to mentor those students to assist them in succeeding after college. And they've kind of pulled me in nonchalantly without even saying, hey, I think you'd be good in this role. It's me that's asking them the questions, and that's what's ultimately told me that I could see myself being the next Dr. Kelly or Father Garanzini or Dr. Pellicero. I definitely I will be, in a couple of years after graduation, I'll still be on the college campus. So I'll be in college for the rest of my life.
Julia? If you would like to have.
Okay, I see myself really working in a non-governmental organization and really advocating for worldwide human rights violations and looking into those. And also maybe going to law school and really being a lawyer for that. I also see myself doing so many different things. I don't see myself in just one career. I think I have so many interests and passions that it's really hard to say that I'm going to do this one thing. But I really want to advocate for students that are underrepresented all across this world, this globe. And when I know more, I'll let you guys know. That's the big question here at college is, what are you going to do? But I definitely have a direction and a drive. Thank you.
I see my future as I call it a future lawyer, social worker extraordinaire. I hope to pursue a Juris Doctorate and a Master's in Social Work. And really kind of what I want to do with that is work to advocate on both ends and kind of what I'm doing now and take it to quote-unquote real world. Work to improve policy while also working to defend the rights of people. So hopefully, depending on how the LSAT goes, I see myself in law school.
To be brutally honest, I have no idea where I'm going to be in a few years. I guess my main goal right now is to find purpose of what I want to do. Recently over spring break, I went on a service trip to Kentucky, to Glenray Farm, and I had an amazing time. Right now, I know when I graduate, I don't know if I'll go to med school, I'm a pre-med student, but I do know I would love to serve maybe for a year, just like I said, maybe in Kentucky, as well as I've looked into the idea of the Jesuit Volunteer Corps, which is where you go teach at a Jesuit high school for a year, and once again do service. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know, I hope to be a good person. But really, all I know is that helping others energizes me, and serving others makes me happy. I love being a man for others. That's another Jesuit ideal that was drilled into my brain during high school. But all I know is I love to serve my fellow man, and from that, I hope to do something that, makes the world a better place. Thank you.
Alright, so these will be our last two questions, and then we'll go to candidates' public statements.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm a sophomore. So I think all four of you candidates would agree that you really value student input and want to be that voice for the student at Loyola. And so keeping in mind the 80% of students that are not voting in USGA elections, what are you guys tangibly going to be doing to make sure that the students are really connected and involved in student government?
Julia?
I think that big issue is looking at where this conversation of complaints are taking place. So online, Facebook, social media. I recently had a meeting with Dr. Kelly, the Vice President of Student Affairs in that room, and I told him that tuition was a problem, and the increase in tuition was a problem. And he said I was the first student to bring that up to him, so that's unacceptable to have that conversation and say that I'm the first student to bring that up. So really examining on bringing that voice. So I created a hashtag before all this to mainstream the conversation, to really focus it, to get it to the USGA, and then have the CCO, the Chief Communication Officer, respond to each tweet to say, hey, this is the answer to that question, or hey, we're working on this, or hey, this is your voice, we're going to bring that up at Senate, and we're going to talk about it. So really, we know where the conversation is being taken place. It's online right now, but it's also in person. So going up to people, being approachable, inviting more student groups to come to Senate to speak. That's a great way to get them involved and have students more involved with the USGA. So that's also looking at diversity, asking more students to be senators, to run for Senate positions. We currently have open positions. I'd love to see all of you guys there because you guys are clearly engaged about your school. You clearly care.
Matt?
So one of the things that Tori and I would really like to do, and it's something that her, Sarah, and the rest of the Residence Life and Dining Committee worked on this year, is have community forums for the students. We want each committee, we have 6 standing committees on USGA dealing with different areas within the university. We want to bring administrators from those different areas and students together in the same room. During that alcohol forum, we had students, we had administrators present, and students really benefited from that. I do think that social media is a great output to do that as well, but we also have to realize that not all students have Facebook, not all students have Twitter, not all students have LinkedIn. But I think that we need to work with students. We need to be going to student organizations more often. It's a common promise from student body presidents in their campaign to go to a student organization and say, I'll be back, and then not go and join that student organization ever again until next year's candidates go and join them. So I think going to student organizations, inviting students to our Senate, we really do need to reach out to students more often, I think, by having the community forums, by utilizing social media, but then also by sending emails. The USGA email account sent an email for questions to be asked about this debate, and students actually replied. If we were to do that more often, students are going to keep on replying to us and sharing their thoughts. I was in Terry Student Center last night talking to 2 freshmen, and they kept on having ideas of stuff that they want to see at Loyola, but they had no idea where to voice those concerns. And now that I know their concerns, I'm able to bring those to USGA just by having those conversations and by reaching out to those different students that may not know where they can voice their concerns.
Okay. Effie?
Really, in order to improve the way that USGA kind of reaches out to students and kind of improve that statistic that only 20% vote, is really to look at the interest of students, what students want. I was amazed at how many students came in and how passionate students were on both sides, both for and against the ban on bottled water. So kind of figuring out what are those like hot button issues and learn how to address them. Really, that's what's key and that's what's important. But on top of that, really to work with social media, to work directly, post posters. Currently, there's no USGA banner. I mean, if we had like a weekly banner or just had physical representation of USGA really around campus, that will make us more known. If we're in your face, you kind of have to see us. You're kind of forced to see us. And also utilize social media to the best extent that we can. Also realizing that some students do have social media, some people don't. But really, it comes around that. It also comes around working with student organizations. Like I said, they're the niche community. They're what gets students into Loyola and what get them passionate about Loyola. Whether it be a group organization, a service organization, a cultural organization, just a hobby organization. Really, that's what brings students in. So working with those organizations to really make Loyola better and to really continue
That's
work.
time. Smitty?
Derek and I actually have been talking about this a lot recently. I feel like a lot of times we use social media, or USGA uses social media to try to get a hold of students, whether it's through those emails, where they have the surveys, whether they post something on Twitter, on Facebook, they have Facebook events. I really feel like something needs to be more tangible. We talked about maybe the idea of maybe for a 2-week period, possibly putting suggestion boxes all around campus and encouraging people to write down their ideas. More so, I feel like USGA, the office there, needs to be more of an open door. I feel like a lot of times USGA becomes too close-knit and too much of a club and less of a student government. I feel like the door should always be open for students to come down and say whatever they want, whatever they feel about university, because really, USGA is the direct link between the students and the administration, the students and the governing above the student government, the governing body. I really feel like we really need to open the door and really connect with students. And we brought up the fact of the 80%. I feel like right here, if we have the 20%, I expect probably most of you will vote. But we really need to connect with the other 80%. The 80% right now who are in the IC, the 80% are out watching PowerPoint football, the 80% they're at home, the 80% off campus. I really feel like we...
Hi, my name is Jack and I am a sophomore. Something that I've noticed multiple campaigns talking about during this election cycle is the issue of tuition and affordability and student debt. So I guess my question is, what type of tangible and specific policy plans and suggestions do you have that actually would go to solve these problems rather than just talking about them?
Matt?
So, as FD was saying, her running mate, who I've just received an email with, so that USGA is going to be working with him and Father Daffron's office to work with the committee that Father Daffron has to work on our students getting the quality education that they need for the tuition dollars that they're paying. So at this week's USGA meeting, we're going to utilize your student representatives to take this 12-minute survey so that we're able to see our students getting the quality education that they're paying for. I definitely think that tuition, although it's bad that it rises, today was Wolf and Kettle Day. Today is 74% of the way through the school year. Tuition dollars that you pay, although it's high, those run out as of today. So tuition would be even higher without our donor dollars. So I definitely think that although there's not going to be a way to lower tuition, there may be a way to insert, as I know Julia and Sarah have pointed out, a grandfather clause. I know that you have to work with the endowment that Loyola has, which, although high, is not high enough in order to adequately do that kind of thing. But I definitely think that as tuition increases, we need to make sure that we're at the table with the Office of Student Financial Assistance. We need to make sure that students are advocating for MAP and Pell Grants. We had a senator present a piece of legislation that advocates for making sure that Loyola still has MAP and Pell Grants for students. We need to make sure that USGA is at the table so that students are getting what they need. Because inevitably, tuition is going to go up one way or another, and tuition will keep on going up higher if we don't have the support of those who are alumni of Loyola or those who really support Loyola. So by working with the Office of Student Financial Assistance, we're going to be able to combat that some students can't afford to attend Loyola, so we want to make Loyola affordable for them. And by seeing if Loyola has a quality education, by what the students think, we're going to be able to do that.
Julia?
Alright, well, tuition is one of our main platforms because we really believe that it's something it affects all students. So right now, people are analyzing the current economic situation and saying that student loans could cause the next economics blip or whatever it's going to be caused. It's a serious issue, and we need to, as students, we need to advocate for our fellow students to try to reduce any increase as possible. So what me and Sarah and I have decided is a grandfathered in tuition, trying to advocate for that, number one. So you can plan emotionally and financially for your Loyola education. So you can make Loyola affordable and you don't have to take out extra loans. So every year you know what you're paying and you won't see those increases, and it just increases by incoming class, but at least they know what they're paying for their education. Also, if they can adopt that, having a line-by-line statement of where that tuition is going to the students, making that transparent, making that money go to all students, not just one specific group, but benefiting the whole Loyola community, and really Loyola students knowing where their money is going and making sure that it helps the whole Loyola community. Thank you.
As was pointed out, my running mate, Nicholas Ramirez, was recently appointed to a committee that really addresses tuition issues currently. Tuition issues for students of lower and medium socioeconomic statuses, to make sure that financial aid is available for all students of different socioeconomic statuses. And really, that's where the tuition issue lies. Unfortunately, you can't lower tuition if you lower tuition, you can't increase financial aid because they go hand in hand. That is really where the key is, to help students who are unable to fund their Loyola education, to make sure that they're receiving MAP grants and Pell Grants, to help them receive grants within Loyola, to make sure that scholarship money is constantly at an increase, and students that are currently here, as well as students that are incoming, are able to receive those funds. Really, financial aid is the key to that issue, making sure that students are able to afford Loyola. And that's also at a different level. That's at textbooks, advocating to faculty to choose cheaper textbooks, advocating to have cheaper course materials. Maybe you don't necessarily need a book. Maybe you could just hand out a packet real quick. So really have it be something that faculty is always conscious of. Work with Airmark. Food is a big issue on campus because students pay so much money for it. So really it's a holistic approach to tuition. It's not just tuition. It's how much you pay for your food, how much you pay for your books. Everything kind of goes into that tuition idea.
And it's time. Spinning. I think a lot of this has to do with the education of the students. I feel like a lot of times, as was brought before, it's going to be very difficult to lower tuition here on campus. However, I feel like educating in the sense that to show that, I mean, for example, I feel like down the line, all our degrees are going to be very, very worthwhile. They're going to be awesome degrees. The degrees we have from Loyola, in the sense that all this development that's occurring on campus, the fact that we have to raise our tuition to pay for that, in the long run, it's going to work out for us. Right now, it's a bummer. We don't get to experience all the awesome new buildings, but in the long run, like I said, our degrees are going to look amazing in the workforce. I also feel like educating in the sense of, a lot of times there's scholarships out there that students don't realize that they can attain right now. Even as a sophomore, junior, freshman, senior, you can get scholarships for the next year. Now, a lot of people realize that you can apply for those during the summer, during the school year, and I feel like maybe a way to represent that would be a form, as was brought up, to show that you can apply for those scholarships. And then once again, the idea of the solidarity increasing the community at Loyola. I feel like the stronger the bond students have when they graduate from Loyola, the more likely they're going to donate, the more likely the endowment's going to increase, the more likely the grandfather clause is going to work. So I feel like it's all comes full circle in the sense of educating and increasing the experience and the love people have for Loyola.
All right, so now we'll end the debate with closing statements from each of the candidates. They'll be 1 minute in length. So we'll start with Julio.
It's pretty obvious if we don't think that we don't have a diverse school. Why doesn't Loyola try to appeal or give scholarships to minorities from the inner city?
May I answer that?
Go for it.
I think that's a great point to bring up. I don't think Loyola is a fair representation of Chicago as a school, as a city, and I really think there should be an effort to bring all those voices to this table. I think we need to advocate for financial aid. We need to advocate for more scholarships for Loyola students and really make that at the forefront of our issues and a forefront of the student government. And knowing that, and the administration just doesn't think that this body cares about that right now. So we need to bring our voices, our concerns, all come together and say, there has been studies that shown a more diverse campus increases your holistic education. So really advocating for that, coming together, all of us saying this is an effort, we need to push for it right now.
Kennedy, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but yeah, Matt.
So I currently work in the undergraduate admissions office as a student ambassador, and recently had this conversation with one of the counselors. And the undergraduate admissions office has 2 counselors assigned to the Chicago public school system. And we often will have Chicago public school students come in and take special tours of Loyola. During those tours, however, we don't show them that Loyola is a diverse campus. We don't point out the Department of Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs. We don't point out the LUSA's program. We don't point out the STARS program. We don't point out the Black Men's Initiative. We don't point out the Men's Project. We don't point out things that Loyola is doing to attract those diverse students. I think that if once those diverse students were to come to Loyola, I think that there should be certain funds that the Office of Student Financial Assistance may be able to set up to assist students who go to the CPS, who go through the CPS system, so that when they come to Loyola, they're able to afford a Loyola education. Because 9 times out of 10, and this is a conversation I had, that students may get into Loyola, but then it's the financial burden that doesn't allow them to attend our school. So I think it is thinking about those students who aren't currently at Loyola, but those students who are going to be coming after us, those students who are currently at the end of their high school careers choosing on where to go. So I do think Loyola does have we do have things in place, but we need to really showcase that Loyola is a diverse school, and we want to make sure that other students are, one, able to afford our school, but that they also realize that they're going to be welcome at our school, and they're not going to be the only one that is a minority at Loyola.
Either of the other 2 want to answer?
My running mate and I have been fortunate enough to be recipients of these scholarships. So we understand the value of these kind of scholarships. But on top of that, it is to expand. It's to expand financial aid and to expand the opportunities that students can receive, and to really educate students on what they can receive, both currently at Loyola and as future Loyola students. And really, that's what matters, to really hone in on the needs of students, to find out where students are lacking, to be open about an appeals process if a student needs help paying. And to really kind of open the doors of conversation, to have a financial aid department that is able to communicate with students. Really, that's what's necessary for us.
I just want to bring up one point, the fact that I really don't feel like that Loyola's not a diverse campus. I know we always talk about what's increased diversity, but I just want to say I do feel like Loyola is very diverse. Now, yes, we can always increase even more so. And the way that can come about is, once again, it would have to be the transparency of the student government, the connection to the administration. A lot of times people have opinions that they want to voice and they don't know where to go, who to talk to, and that's where USGA would come come to hand. As well as with Matt, I also work at the undergraduate Office of Admissions, and as you brought up the fact that we just don't show enough of what Loyola has to provide sometimes with those special groups. A lot of times they show up and they're on the tour and they don't even care. I mean, it's just for them a way to get out of class for the day. And I really feel like we can change that maybe for those special tours that come through of inner city students, by demonstrating maybe a different side, a different tour for them. Although it's technically a special tour, in the same sense they receive the same tour as any other potential student. And I feel like by changing that, maybe a different route, as well as showing off different locations would benefit those students.
All right, candidate closing statements. We'll start with Julia.
Hey guys, I would just like you to reflect on what was being discussed at this panel and this debate. A lot of the issues are issues that are our platform, me and Sarah's platform, and issues that we have been advocating for. Some of the things is the alcohol issue, the water bottle refilling stations, sustainability, advocating for financial aid, composting, bike-friendly campus, increasing diversity on campus, tuition. Those have all been issues that me and my vice president have already been laying groundwork for, and we think that being president and vice president, we can put that at the forefront of students' minds, the administration minds. Already we have dominated this debate because the issues that we're talking about are the issues we're now talking about in this room. These were issues, diversity wasn't an issue before we started looking at it. It wasn't an issue that the student body really thought we should examine. So we are strong female leaders, and we'd like to lead you guys because we have a precise direction and very much drive and compassion to be student body president and vice president. Thank you.
Really in closing, what I ask is, again, believe in LUC and to believe in this idea that students have the power to make change. And what that change is determined by the students and for the students based on what they need and what they want. That being said, really what Loyola needs is for a student body president that is able to understand where they're coming from, is able to communicate with them, and is able to take their concerns and take them to administrators. My running mate and I have done that. We've sponsored legislation on alcohol. I was the chief sponsor of the alcohol legislation to improve education on alcohol, to really continue efforts of sustainability. Nick is on the Facilities and Transportation Committee, which has also worked on bringing water bottle stations, to continue the conversation on tuition, just as Nick is working on, to continue the conversation on academic affairs, as I currently am doing as chair of academic affairs, and on the committees that I serve. So continue this voice, and to continue to believe in our degree, in our community, in our students and our voice, and to continue to advocate for the things that we want, and to continue to believe in this idea of believing in LUC. Thank you. Vote Tramika Ramirez.
Yep.
So I'd also like to point out that all of us here have our own platforms. We're all here leading for you, but we're all running on platform ideas that have to do with sustainability, have to do with tuition, have to do with diversity. We all really do want to increase the student voice. Tori and I really do have a passion. We have student representation on many different boards. I've been a student representative on a variety of different things, from a board of trustees committee to a search committee to the homecoming planning committee, to get students more involved. We do have that voice, and we are there. We're very passionate about USGA. I've been on USGA for 3 years as a Speaker of the Senate. I feel that I've worked well with the senators, with USGA members, to really increase the efficiency of our organization. The wide range of students around Loyola, we want to help you with your 8-ride, we want to help you with your shuttle services. We really want to help you to graduate on time. We will lead for you, with you, and because of you. We really do want to empower the student voice. We're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you're happy. We're not going to come, we have our platform ideas, but if you all want us to change those, we're going to change those. If we're elected, we're not going to change 8-ride service if you don't want it changed, which I assume most of you do.
That's time. Thanks,
For Derek and I, our main goal is to instill life into student government. We feel like not a lot of people realize that we even have student government here on campus, the 80%. I mean, if you look around you right now, where is everyone? This is the debate, one of the main debates for electing the student body president and vice president, and no one's here. That's what we want to change. Our main goal for Derek and I is kind of be the focal point that people can go to if they want to cause change on campus. I mean, all these things they've said that they've done, and they've brought about through their meetings and referendums, but I feel like no one either realizes that those are going on, as well as no one appreciates it. And we want to change that. We want to show that student government is doing stuff. We want to show that we are opening the doors to other things, to other policies. Like I said, we want to lead for you and help you guys enjoy your 4 years here. I've loved my time at Loyola. I've had an amazing last 2 years. Derek's had an amazing 2 years here. And we want to give back any way we can to Loyola. This is an amazing university. Go Ramblers. So trust the name you know, vote Smitty, and thank you for coming out.
that's it for us here tonight. The conversation is not done though. We will be having our second and final debate at the Water Tower campus on Monday at 7 p.m. in the Convergence Studio, so I hope you'll join us. And if you aren't able to join us, feel free to submit questions and concerns. We have a new forum set up on our website. You can also use our Twitter or our Facebook to connect to us. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out and for your questions. And thank you for coming. Take care, everyone.